Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Sunday morning, 11:15. Started right on time. I figured I would just go live just very quickly and talk about some of the big news stories of the day because I was here. I just finished doing as much as I can do today. I ran out of boxes, of course, for the Patriotic as F bundles, but we got most of them out today, and we're cranking them. We're cranking them out. So, if you haven't got your Patriotic as F bundles, now you should, because I'm going to order all new products for the next batch of bundles. So essentially, if you order now, you're going to get a fresh new bundle. So even if you ordered last month, whatever. It's been crazy this morning. I woke up bright and early, and I was like happy, right? I was happy that, we were all still walking around. I was dead set that we were having an alien invasion last night. It's funny because the news is talking about it, but they're just saying these are all Chinese spy balloons. They're not, Fox News. I've been listening to it all morning while I work. And, they're just talking about how it's Chinese spy balloons and what are we going to do about China and blah, blah, blah. And China. And, I think I'd rather have them be Chinese spy balloons than I would rather have them or if that's the alternative to like aliens, I would rather have Chinese spy balloons. You know what I mean? But the way they're talking and the cryptic ways that they're doing it, some of the videos that are posted on social media of the reason why. So let me give a background. So obviously, a week ago yesterday, we shot down a Chinese spy balloon off of the coast of South Carolina. Now, this was after it traversed the entire United States, releasing all of our nuclear locations and photos and apparently grabbing cell phone communications, all sorts of weird stuff. But the Biden administration let this thing fly across the United States before shooting it down, which is weird, right? It's not just weird, it's a dereliction of duty, if you ask me, but whatever. It's the semantics, right? And then Friday, during the White House press conference, 12 minutes into the press conference, because they had no intention of actually speaking about what had happened, what had happened was a journalist asked press secretary or Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby, Admiral John Kirby, about reports that they were hearing that the United States military shot down another unidentified high-altitude aircraft off of the coast of Alaska, to which he confirmed. So it kind of put everybody in a media frenzy because they had already gone through 12 minutes of a press conference without talking about how the United States military engaged something in U.S. airspace, right? So you would think that's what they would have led off with, but apparently they were trying to keep it under wraps. But one reporter actually asked a real question during the White House press briefing and caused the White House to actually be honest. For once, it doesn't happen that much, but let's just be honest. They were honest, at least, with John Kirby was. Now, the weird thing about this one that they downed over Alaska, it was quite different than the one they downed off of the coast of South Carolina a week ago yesterday, because it wasn't quite as large. It was about the size of a small car, they said, and what it possessed. And they said it was like flying different, like it had no propulsion on it. It wasn't the same as the Chinese spy balloon, because the Chinese spy balloon, it could maneuver, it could steer, it could slow down, it could speed up, it could go down, it could turn left, turn right, based on what we already know about that Chinese spy balloon, which is a pretty big issue. And the Chinese spy balloon wasn't a small balloon either. It was quite large. They say it was about 3 school buses in length, carrying a payload essentially tethered to the balloon, was something about the size of a school bus, of electronics and sensors and communication intercepting devices and all that, plus whatever is being used to steer and pilot this thing and communicate back to China, which is something in itself, which is just really odd, right? And then, so this Chinese one was, or this one over Alaska was quite different, right? They haven't identified whether or not it was a spy balloon, so they're not saying that it was a spy balloon. They're being kind of mum about whatever this thing was over off the coast of Alaska that they shot down. I'm hearing reports that or I see them online. I don't know how much credibility there is, but we're seeing reports online that the pilots that saw this thing that were up in the air are saying that they couldn't find any sort of propulsion. Some of the sensors inside their cockpits of their F-15s or F-22s, whatever was used. I know an F-22 was used to shoot it down. But some of the sensors started malfunctioning when this thing got close to it, and all sorts of weird things. Like they didn't see any life. They didn't see a way for it to be steered. They didn't believe that anybody was on board, and so they shot it down. Now, they thought that they would be able to recover a large component of whatever it was that they shot out of the sky in Alaska. However, now they're getting reports that this thing, when it was shot down and landed in the ground, it broke into, hundreds, if not thousands of extremely small pieces, which is just another weird thing, right? It adds to the whole, I'm not a big believer of UFOs or anything like that, like the, extraterrestrial ET type UFOs. But this doesn't make any sense. My idea, or what I think this thing was, it was like a mini blimp, right? Like it was like a mini spy blimp that had some, communication device or high def camera on the back with some wireless signal, right? And it was the shape of a blimp, right? Because a blimp can float. We know that. There's probably going to be a blimp today in Phoenix, unless they shoot it down. But there'll likely be a blimp over the Super Bowl stadium in Phoenix when they do whatever they do. The Goodyear blimp, isn't that always with the Super Bowl? I don't know. But so kind of what I imagine is that shape. Now they're saying it's a hard word for me to say, cylindrical or whatever. Kind of like like basically what it looks like. Imagine a rectangle with I don't have anything. Like the coffee. See how this kind of goes like that? So imagine that on both sides, kind of like a Tic Tac is the easiest way to describe it. If you know what a Tic Tac is, I wish I had some right now because I love Tic Tacs. But if you imagine what a Tic Tac looks like, that's what they said they saw in the air, like a flying saucer type of Tic Tac thing, right? And they shot it down and didn't provide a lot of context or information since the shoot down. However, yesterday was different because we heard that NORAD was tracking 2 additional unidentified high-altitude devices or flying aircraft, whatever the hell they are, somewhere. It just said in North America was the initial alert yesterday, right? And then around 1:45 p.m. yesterday, the United States, in cooperation with the Canadian military and Canadian Air Force, who knew that they had it, just like someone said, I thought the Canadian Air Force was on reindeer, right? Who actually knew they had an Air Force? Well, it's Canada. It's Canada, eh? Anyway, the United States went up with Canada as part of NORAD, which is the joint, thing between the United States and Canada. And they were following another one of these high altitude aircraft, apparently all the way when it was in U.S. airspace in Alaska, crossed the entire country of Alaska, based on what we're able to tell right now, then crossed into the northern Yukon portion of Canada, right? And then, so apparently they watched it since Friday night all the way into Saturday morning. They watched it, took photographs, went up there with planes and tried to get as many pictures and everything as they could. And then the decision was made once it went over northern Yukon or central Yukon, which is a big territory. Basically, imagine Alaska attached to Canada. The entire portion that Alaska is connected to Canada, that's all Yukon territory, and it continues down below as well. So somewhere in central Yukon, they apparently shot this third thing down, right? And earlier in the day, we heard that they were following 2 high altitude unmanned whatever the F they are over Canada, right? That's what NORAD put out, that they were tracking 2 devices. So then we learn approximately right around the time I started going live, right before I started going live, we learned that they launched F-22s and they shot down whatever this thing was, and it went down somewhere in the central Yukon region, right? And we watched a press conference from the Canadian Defense Minister who talked about it, but she wouldn't really go into specifics about what this thing was, what the device was, because, well, she said she relies on facts, and there's not a lot of facts about this, so she's hesitant to talk about anything. when people asked if it was like a UFO, like, can you describe the shape a little bit more, like extraterrestrial UFO? One journalist actually asked a question saying, I never thought I'd be asking this question during a defense briefing. And she's like, I never thought I'd have to answer this question during a defense briefing. But she refused to actually give any sort of answer, just saying that the device was kind of similar to what was going on. She kept saying off the coast of North Carolina for the Chinese spy balloon. It was actually off the coast of South Carolina, facts matter. But she kept screwing that up. But nonetheless, they ended up shooting this thing down. The United States shot it down over central Yukon, and nobody really knows what it was. We do know, however, that this device or whatever was shot down at an altitude of 40,000 feet in Canada's airspace. We do know that it was carrying a payload as well. So basically, imagine a balloon that had a rope or whatever, a tether, and it had a payload, a small payload underneath. So who knows what that payload was, but that is the descriptor that was given during the press conference. She said it was very similar to the South Carolina Chinese spy balloon that was shot down, except about the size of a small car, not three buses wide. So at that point, you're sitting here going, okay, or at least I was live streaming it, and I was like, this is insane, right? We're shooting down all these things. The United States military, when's the last time the United States military engaged in shooting something down out of the sky? Like, it's got to be, did we do it in the wars? I don't know. I don't believe Afghanistan had fighter jets. I don't know. Maybe I think the Iraqi Air Force did, right? Were we shooting them down? I don't remember. But when's the last time the United States actually had to engage? Not one. And when's the last time they had to engage over the United States? You know what I mean? That's something that's really, really crazy, right? Is when's the last time that the United States military had to engage, not just once, not twice, but 3 times over North America in order to shoot something down. Now, we know that in 1998 or 1991, I don't remember, Canadian military attempted to shoot down a weather balloon that went, it was going crazy and it was impeding commercial traffic and they had no control over it. So the Canadian military actually shot that thing down. It took over 1,000 rounds in 6 days before it actually fell to the ground. So you could tell that the amount of military, the amount that we've progressed in military technology is quite amazing, because now we can shoot it with a Sidewinder missile and it's done. So someone is saying we haven't shot down anything over the United States or in United States airspace since Japan. And you got to remember, Japan too, they use balloons with incendiary devices to essentially firebomb the West Coast during the World War II, or the beginning of World War II, or at some point in World War II, which is absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But wait, there's more. As we were live last night, we got notification that U.S. airspace over, and I can't say it, Havre, Montana, however you say that town name, Havre. Maybe someone in the chat could do the pronunciation so I can learn how to say it once and for all, right? But they closed down airspace, citing a national defense incident, whatever. And then they scrambled F-15s out of Portland, Oregon, and they scrambled a tanker out of Idaho, I believe, and the tankers are used to refuel the fighter jets. And they scrambled them over and flew these fighter jets from Portland, Oregon, all the way over to Montana. And I say all the way over. Havre. Is that just how you say it? Havre? Okay. So Havre, Montana, right? And apparently they said there was some sort of unidentified thing that was caught on NORAD's radar, and they were worried about it, so they ended up sending up these F-15s to intercept it, closing down airspace. And keep in mind, this doesn't happen much, okay? The last time they closed down the airspace like they did last night was when they shot down this Chinese spy balloon. That's the last time that they shut down commercial air traffic, shut down everything, and citing a national defense initiative, which is pretty darn insane, right? So the problem is there was not a lot of information coming out about whatever was going on over Havre, Montana, right? And why the airspace was shut down. We knew that the fighter jets took off. We knew that the tanker was in there. We were tracking the tanker live. You can't track the fighter jets. So we knew the tanker was, right outside of that airspace, circling around, probably refueling the jets, who were then combing the sky, trying to find whatever devices these things were that crossed in the United States, 1 or 2 devices. I saw a video where it could have potentially been 2, but there's the thing about these videos is you can't really authenticate them. So nobody actually knows if any of this is real or not. But what we do know is that NORAD's radar picked up numerous times some unidentified device or unidentified high altitude aircraft, or more than one, flying over the United States in United States air territory, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. And they were unable to locate it last night. Montana reps, a bunch of them were on Fox News talking about it when I ended my show and I was driving home. I listened to them. A Montana rep was saying, we were notified by the Pentagon or the Department of Defense that there is, something that was caught on the radar. They don't know what it is and they can't find it now. So they're opening back up the airspace and allowing commercial traffic, and everyone should just be fine and be cool, calm, and collected, and then they'll send up aircraft tomorrow to try to find it, and at that point down it, which is just like crazy to me, right? Because you don't know what the device is. You don't know what the thing is up in the sky. You know that you're getting radar hits off of it. You scramble F-15s to go intercept said device, and then you say, well, we can't find it, so we're just going to open airspace again and allow people to, fly, and commercial jetliners to fly and all that, because we can't find whatever this thing is in the sky. So it's completely nutty, right? And then there's been no other information about it. However, China this morning said that they found some weird high altitude flying device over China, and they were in the process of shooting it down or have already shot it down themselves. We don't know what it is. We don't know if it's even real. China could be manipulating it, pretending like they have something over their country in an effort to take to draw the attention away from the fact that there's many people here in America that believe that all of the things that were shot down over the United States over the past 8 days are all Chinese spy technology. Because if you listen to Fox News, that's exactly what they want you to believe. They want you to believe, nope, there's no UFOs. These are China spying on us because a war with China is imminent. That's essentially the rhetoric that China is saying, or that Fox News is saying, which is just crazy because you could tell the war lobby is at full tilt right now. I talked to someone that's high up and holds a bunch of different clearances and all that, and he said I could say it because it is all public. The military is not, because I asked him, I said, is the military bracing for war with Russia or something? He goes, absolutely not. I said, what's the military bracing for? War with China. That comes from someone that does this every day. And they're not worried about like ground troops and all that stuff. No, they're worried about cyber and infrastructure attacks and all that stuff. And his thought is it's going to happen. It's going to happen eventually. That there's going to be a war with China, and it's not going to be fought with boots on the ground. It's going to be fought with infrastructure attacks, with us attacking them attacking us, back and forth. And it makes you wonder about this Chinese spy balloon, the big one that was shot down over South Carolina, that they haven't recovered the main payload. According to, they actually stopped because of the weather. And they said they know where it is. They've located it. They tagged it at the bottom of the ocean so they could find it later. But they're leaving it there. You would think, no matter how bad the ocean is, if this thing really had classified information that the United States could benefit from, you would think that they would have been throwing anchors down, because it's not that deep, right? 100 feet or 100 yards, something like that is what they were saying with the ocean. They would have threw anchors down and tried to raise this thing before water and salt water if it sits in the water longer, it's going to destroy it longer. You know what I mean? So who knows? But we're going to have to wait and see what transpires over the course of the day today. If aliens are coming down and they're going to, take over this country. I don't know. I already told my wife and kids this morning. I said, if any weird shit happens, we're loading up in the car and we're beelining to Kentucky. We're beelining to the middle of nowhere. I don't care where. And that's where we'll just start over and we'll start civilization all over again. I don't know. But it's weird. I had a dream about aliens last night too. I never dream about aliens. But a lot of what they're trying to say, and I mean, just like I did a Twitter poll, where I'm like, do you believe that these are, one, UFOs, like the alien UFOs, all Chinese spy balloons, or three, just a major distraction off of the Biden administration, off of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, like the Chinese government is literally saying? They said American people are being played. Chinese state media is literally saying that on their thing, saying the American citizens are being played by all these balloon sightings that never, and they don't recover any of the technology that they say they're doing. And the Chinese say that we're being played to not pay attention to the fact that the United States allegedly blew up the Nord Stream 2 pipeline in June, or whatever the hell they did it. which is probably right. I mean, I would hate to side with China in that one comment, but they're probably right on that. The United States government is probably doing some big psyop in order to get us to all believe that we're being invaded by Chinese spy balloons, so that way we can take military action against China, or believe that, or so we believe that there's aliens, so we all start prepping for an alien invasion, and then all the while, they sell more. Hunter Biden sells more shitty art to Chinese people who are getting, he gets rich. So I don't really know what's transpiring. Hopefully today we don't have to shoot anything down. Hopefully today everything just stays peaceful and calm and cool and collected and everyone enjoys the Super Bowl. But I doubt it, because we're probably going to hear something in a couple of minutes about some weird thing happening, some weird phenomenon, or another airspace is going to be shut down and it's going to take away from everything else, and it's going to be very confusing, but we're all going to have to deal with it. Next story, I got to run through this really quick because I got a meeting at my warehouse. So the next story I wanted to talk about is this Tim Pool, Timcast bull crap that's going on with the Eliza stuff. How many of you guys, like, I talked about it 2 days ago, and I talked about the world's worst journalist ever, who I believe is Shane Cashman. I believe my humble opinion is the journalist that writes for Timcast, that has written all these puff pieces about Eliza Blue, Eliza Cuts, Eliza whatever the frick her name is. I don't really care. That this guy is the worst journalist, whatever, because or ever, right? He's written 3 articles on this Eliza lady that was. The story isn't whether or not she's a sex trafficker. That's what everyone wants to. They're trying to discredit whether she was a sex trafficking victim or something like that. I don't even care about that aspect of it. I care that that woman was able to censor a tremendous amount of people, myself included, for sharing a publicly available video. And the fact that she, a sole citizen of the United States, has that amount of power to influence all these social media companies to censor someone was the big story, and that's what everyone should pay attention to, right? But of course, a lot of the hubbub about the whole Eliza Blue thing is not that. It's they're trying to discredit her, say that she wasn't really trafficked, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that. She's doing incredible work to try to stop child sex trafficking and stop sex trafficking in general. I don't want to discredit her from that regard. I want her to apologize for taking down videos and flagging people's social media pages and do all that stuff, because that's really wrong. I mean, no matter what you say, it's wrong, no matter what, And for me, I was locked out of Twitter just for a couple of minutes because I was like, fuck it, I'll delete the tweet. But I didn't even post the actual clip of the video. I just posted a link to the publicly available YouTube video. And then I published the link to the publicly available page on World Star Hip Hop where said video was also hosted. And apparently that was enough to have me blocked out because, well, they said it was personal. I forgot what they said. Personal something. But, personal intimate images that were not approved to be shared. Although she was paid to do a music video for World Star Hip Hop. But nonetheless, everybody has been ridiculing her, attacking her, and for whatever her background. And again, I don't care about that. I care about the fact that she was able to mislead Twitter, YouTube, Google, everybody, to take down videos, to lock people out of their Twitter accounts. That is the story. And, but you can sum that up in about 5 minutes. So that's why you haven't heard me talk about it ad nauseum like some of the other social media influencers, because frankly, I don't care about discrediting who she is. That's not the story. Well, a lot of people were really critical of Tim Pool and Timcast, or Timcast News, if you even want to call it a news outlet, for specifically Tim Pool, because he has had her on his platform twice, right? So a lot of people expected Tim Pool to talk about Eliza Cuts or Eliza Blue or Eliza whatever the hell her name is, simply because she has appeared several times on his show, at least more than once, more than me. I've never been on his show. But you know what I mean? She's appeared on the show, so people had the expectation that he was going to address the scenario. Well, he did the opposite. He didn't address it, and he actually tried to steer clear from the conversation, which caused a lot of the other social media people to then go and ridicule him even more and saying, why aren't you covering this? Do you have something to hide? Blah, blah, blah. And it kept going back and forth until he finally lost his mind and said that he is better than everybody else and he doesn't need to talk about it because she's down here and he's up here. And anyone who doesn't like his thing can, unsubscribe and blah, blah, blah. He doesn't need to be doing this. He's going to quit doing this. He's not going to quit doing this. And then he apologizes to everybody. And all these weird social media influencers, they all start sucking each other's faces and they all suck up to each other. And then Timcast says, wait, maybe there is something to this Eliza Blue story, which makes everyone sit there and go, what the hell is going on? Well, Timcast sent one of their journalists, this character named Shane Cashman. I've never heard of him before, but he went out to do this puff piece, and I'll call it a puff piece on Eliza Blue, right? And I was like, okay, they were talking about whether or not she clarified or whether or not she was actually trafficked, which again, that part of the story does not concern me. I don't care. I don't want her to be trafficked, but disproving that does nothing because that would stop her from being the advocate that she is to all the people that she's an advocate to. I have no interest in disproving that. I wanted them to talk about the censorship thing, especially when Tim Cass is talking about censorship. They've all covered the Twitter files. They've all covered YouTube and, all that stuff. Everybody's covered it ad nauseum. So I assumed that Shane Cashman was going to write a piece about that because that's what is concerning to everybody, right? Everybody that does this for a living. I mean, the everyday people don't care about it. You know what I mean? The everyday people are like, why is everyone talking about Eliza? It doesn't make any sense. But that's the thing. You know what I mean? There is the truth. Okay. So Shane Cashman wrote part one of a 3-part series, right? The part one was this, all about her first trafficking experience when her parents, showed that they were shitty ass parents and they sent her to California when she's 17 and then she was trafficked by some musician, blah, 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 whatever, some photographer rather. And then she was, brought back to, Illinois where she was from. And that's where part one essentially ended, right? And it was a sad story. I read it and I didn't really comment too much on it because I felt bad, for her finding out that someone had to go through that kind of shit in their life, allegedly, is horrible, and I don't will that or want that or wish for that to happen to anybody else. So I was sympathetic after reading the first one. Now, after reading the second one, and I'll be honest, as soon as the part 2 came out, I couldn't even read the whole thing because it was more of that same thing. The journalist Shane Cashman, he started coming out with attacking all the people that were critical of him, saying that he was writing puff pieces and everything. And he did that in the first one as well, where he made the story more about him than it was about her, which was very odd for a journalist to do, right? The second piece was very much of the same of that. So I actually got burned out of reading it about, a couple hundred words in and gave up on reading the article. And then the third piece came out. The third piece was it was literally the worst piece of journalism I think I've ever read in my life. Like with 100%. It was all Shane Cashman complaining about this, complaining about that, and setting the narrative that all of these people who were censored were not really mad that they were censored. No, they were mad because Eliza Blue, well, I don't even know. Like, the story was stupid. He talked about mind control and people that are paying for black SUVs to sit out beside people's homes and all this weird, stupid stuff. Trying to name someone as a gang stalker when it's just this chubby YouTuber that sits online and apparently causes problems with people, which is what most YouTubers do. They just cause problems between each other. And so they kind of attacked him on that, but it was a horrible piece, right? And there was nothing about the censorship. So I had to go back because I'm like, I must have missed this somewhere, right? So I went back and read the rest of the second article, and it was more of the same puff, fluff, blah, blah, blah. They talked about the censorship just for a couple of paragraphs, and then basically Cashman wrote, I'm not talking about this anymore because that's not a non-story. All these people that were censored were doing something they shouldn't have, which is not true at all, right? So the third piece came out, and everyone, really got pissed off at Cashman and Tim Cass for writing this puff piece, right? Because it was clearly a bullshit puff piece, that was talking up Eliza Blue, and it wasn't addressing any of the censorship issues that everybody had problems with. And then it was weird. So the person that they were, calling the gang stalker or whatever, it's some guy on YouTube called Defango, and he's got a Twitter page called Defango, and apparently he was the person behind this whole, operation. At least that's what Shane Cashman said. So he built, and I don't understand all this weird, social media influence, weird, where you start campaigns to like, where bad publicity is good publicity because it's so bad that everyone talks about it kind of thing. But that's what they were arguing was happening with the Eliza Blue stuff. But what was interesting about the whole thing is, while he denied it, and then a lot of the Twitter sleuths started putting out all this information about him and about this shadow box and about this and that. And then the connections between Tim Cass and this guy really started to emerge. It all had to do with the DNC hacking emails and Cassandra Fairbanks, who's the editor and the booker for Tim Cass, and her connection to all this stuff. And it's so weird and so convoluted and so when you go to a bookstore or you're watching a movie. Let's say you're flipping through on Netflix and you're looking for a spy movie. So you type in spy movie and you see the stars and it's rated like 5 stars. This one would have been rated about 1/4 of 1 star in terms of a spy movie. It's so freaking stupid, the entire story. But the weird thing is Timcast blocked out the 3rd article. They blocked it out because apparently they were told they were likely going to get sued for defamation, right? So they actually locked out the entire 3rd article. And then what was even weirder about the whole thing is now when you go to timcast.com and you type in Eliza to try to find the first and second articles, you can't find them. They removed them from the search function, which is weird because the articles are still public. If you have the link, you can find them, or maybe if you search for long enough, you could find them. But just simply searching Eliza on timcast.com, it doesn't show it. So my guess is what we're going to hear in a couple of days. Probably Timcast, Tim Pool is going to address this by saying he's fired Shane Cashman, who wrote this puff piece. There's a lot of weird stuff, but I think Timcast really dropped the ball here. If he wanted to be taken seriously as an independent journalist and he wanted to be taken seriously as an honest news outlet, they should have wrote an honest news article and not some puff piece about someone that has some weird power to be able to censor people through her influence with social media companies, which was the story. It's a story they didn't talk. So it's kind of interesting, but that is the deal. Who do we have? What troll is on YouTube? What troll is on YouTube? Who is the one that's trolling on YouTube? Who's the troll on YouTube? Let me know who the troll is on YouTube. Do it. Do it now. Do. Trying to wait and see. Ass mud. All right. All right. Well, thanks to our troll on YouTube, we're running a promotion now. Anyone that goes to puretruthcoffee.com and buys coffee, hoodies, sweatshirts, t-shirts, coffee club memberships, so your name could be on the bottom of the screen every day. Use code ASSMUD, ASSMUD, and you save 7% off. That is our troll discount of the day. ASSMUD. And we're doing that from now on. We're just picking one troll, and that person will save a bunch of people money. So if you go to puretruthcoffee.com, you can use code ASSMUD and save 7% off your order. Thank you, ASSMUD, you piece of shit. You like that? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that. But and that's going to be the new thing I do, because really now everybody who makes a purchase it goes in the face of the trolls. So that's the best thing I can think of, and it works pretty well. So hopefully, I put the link in the chat to the coffee club. You guys can join that, or if you want a hoodie, just follow that link, click on hoodies and do it. And just keep in mind, if you buy a hoodie, add a mug to your cart, because the mug is free. Yeah, it's a special secret thing, but you can't use the AssMud discount. But that's what we're doing every single day now. When we have a troll on one of the social media channels, we're just picking them real quick. We'll use that as a discount in all the purchases, because when you make a purchase on the screen, it'll actually pop up like right there. And I'm going to get it. I'm going to change it so it says so-and-so used promo code ASSMUD or whatever the day it is in order to get their discount. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, but I'm going to. So like if you buy coffee on our store, it'll pop up right here that you bought coffee or you bought a hoodie or you bought whatever. And so now it's a good way of whoever's trolling us on the platform to realize that trolling us does not benefit you. And it truly does benefit me. So that's the best part. And Sassy Grandma said, character exaggerates, stretching his arms forward to offer a cup of coffee. It was a super sticker, so I just read it aloud for you guys. Thank you, Sassy Grandma on YouTube, for that super chat. What was the next story? Okay, it doesn't matter. Now everyone in the chat, ignore AssMud. Just use the discount so you can type it. And here's what you do. When you make a purchase on Pure Truth Coffee, type in the chat, thank you, AssMud, for the discount. Don't do it. Everyone else, just ignore them. That's the best thing we have to do. We don't have to just sit there and keep arguing with each other in the chat. Stupid. This is the best way. If we have trolls, I'll make a discount code. People can use the discount code, and it's a big middle finger to the troll. Like, seriously, it's the best way in the world. All right? Last story I wanted to talk about real quick. I don't even remember what the hell it was. I think it was kind of a connection, between everything. The Super Bowl is tonight. Who's going to watch the Super Bowl? I am. I'm not really excited about it as much as I have been in previous years because of the whole like wokeness of the Super Bowl. But I realized today I don't really give a shit. I don't care if something's all, I don't care about wokeness. Hopefully we don't see any stupid stuff. But, we are going to see two Jesus Christ commercials. Fox News has been airing them every 3 seconds, talking about what a huge accomplishment this is. That they're going to play some religious commercials that a nonprofit was able to purchase those time slots and do 3 or 4 religious commercials. So that's good. I'm happy that's playing. I don't know what any of the other commercials are. And I realized, to me, the whole like woke talk and all that stuff and canceling this and canceling that, we spend too much time wondering what's woke. But you know what we should all do instead of wondering what's woke and all that crap is just live our lives. And that's what I'm doing now. I think there's far too much talk about this and that. Oh, you know what I wanted to talk about real quick? And I wanted to say this to yesterday, but I forgot. There was this what you call it? A woman, I believe she was in New Jersey. I don't remember. Not a woman, a girl that was beaten severely in her school. She was beaten severely, hit in the head with water bottles, beaten by multiple girls, 4 girls, I think, who then proceeded to torment her for 2 days, sending her Snapchats of the videos, sending everything. She's a 14-year-old girl. Well, that little girl killed herself. And she killed herself because of the beating and that she was being embarrassed by it. And the father, a decorated military veteran, it's such a sad story, right? The thing the sad that even goes on at school, but unfortunately that's not new. You know what I mean? That happens. And what's the craziest thing about it is that poor man, the father of this, he lost his wife, a couple of years prior to that. And now he lost his daughter. He's a 22-year veteran. It's insane. However, what's worse than all of that, what's worse than everything is the school's response, is particularly the superintendent of this district in New Jersey. The response from the school was the most outrageous response. Even my wife, who's a liberal teacher, even my wife was like, holy shit, that guy needs to be fired. Because the response from the district was to attack the family, to attack the young girl who took her own life. It was the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. He talked about how the young girl may have had issues with drugs and her grades were slacking, and that he recommended that the father send her to rehab and this and that and all this stuff. That the mom killed herself, that the husband cheated on the mom and was now married to the person he cheated with. Like, the superintendent said all of that to the media. Like, that superintendent needs to be absolutely fired. It's one of the craziest things I've ever heard of, was that the superintendent felt so emboldened that he was going to smear this innocent little dead girl, and I couldn't believe it. I can't believe it, And the school didn't report this thing. They said it was not up to them to file charges against these 4 kids that brutally beat this girl in school. You guys gotta, I hope everyone that watches this, someone said, stay away from QR codes. They are to track you. No, they're not. Unboxing reviews and more. We use QR codes on every single thing. Our whole free coffee shop is built on the idea of QR codes. When they're used to track you is when you pop up and you scan the QR code and it asks you, do you agree to be tracked? That's the only time. We use dynamic QR codes, and the QR codes cannot track unless you, the cell phone user, gives permission for it to track, which is why we don't use that functionality. That's why I can't tell when someone is scanning the code where they're logging in from. I could if we enable that technology and you enable it as well. But those are the truths. So don't say shit about QR codes, unboxing reviews, and more when you clearly don't have enough knowledge about it. Our whole free coffee shop is built off those QR codes. That's how we're able to give free coffee away to everybody. But I hope that people pay attention. I hope that the school administrator is kicked. Like, I really do. I hope he's kicked out of school. I hope he's fired. I hope he's sued. I hope that father sues him. You know, the school did fail that girl, as Kate said, and she's a school board member. But what I was going to say as we wrap up this video is I sincerely hope that every one of you is having conversations with your kids. The times when I was a kid, when we were all kids, I don't know how old everyone is that's watching. You're probably around my age, right? 38. I know I look young, but no, I'm 38. We didn't have this kind of stuff. We didn't have the cell phones, the Snapchats, the online bullying. We had bullying in person, usually, and it revolved in fistfights, right? It's so different now. And these kids have, I don't know, bro. I hope everyone's talking to their kids and explaining to their kids. My son asked if he could have Snapchat on his phone, and we're like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. He's not allowed TikTok. He's not allowed Snapchat. He's not even allowed Facebook. They make one for kids. He's not allowed to have it. He uses Discord with his friends, and we monitor it. You know what I mean? Like his friend gave him a game and called him he called him a name. I can't say it on the show. But I told him, you got to have a talk with your friend and tell him that your parents monitor your Discord. And if you write that shit again, you're kicked out of the Discord. Meaning my son wouldn't be able to use Discord anymore. But everyone needs to monitor him. You know what I mean? Unboxing reviews and more is continuing on with this bullshit about the QR codes. I'd prefer that you not keep saying that in my chat, please. Because what that does is it takes people away from what we're doing here. So stop the CCP social credit score. It's not used with dynamic QR codes. Those are used with trackable QR codes, which our codes are not. So please stop talking about it in my chat. God damn. It's like when I say something one time, people can't understand. So I have to say it 50 freaking times before people will understand it, huh? Yeah, fuck that. I just got rid of them anyway. Fuck it. My wife's a retired teacher, and my daughter just started teaching in the local school system. I'm terrified when my grandkids get into school. Such a change from the 80s. Yeah, you just got to monitor your kids. You got to monitor your kids. Everyone in the chat is saying that superintendent resigned, which is amazing. Hopefully he resigned, and hopefully this, hopefully they go over it, man. A QR code on my dog and let her run the country. I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, it's absolutely sad, and it's a very sad story, and it needs more attention. And I meant to talk about it 2 days ago, but I'll be honest, I had to calm down a little bit because I was getting a little frustrated by the story and the lack of he shouldn't have been resigned. He should have been fired. He should have been fired. There should be protests outside that superintendent's home. That's what there should be, But, yeah, that's what I have to say. Guys, if you want to support this channel, we're not monetized on YouTube. They don't monetize our videos. You can send super chats, but they'll never monetize it with ads. If you want to support it, go either click the link right there that nobody likes, or what's even better is just follow the link that I just put in the chat. It's also in the description of the video. Join our coffee club. All these names down below make it so we can do this live stream every day. They also keep us afloat. You can do a monthly plan, a 6-month prepaid plan, or a yearly prepaid plan. Obviously, if you do the yearly, you get a 22% discount on the coffee. And I guarantee our coffee is the best coffee you've ever had, or you can have your money back. It's as simple as that, because it is truly the best coffee out there. I drink it every day. You guys drink it every day, and if you don't, you should. And if you're in the Woodstock, Virginia area, our free coffee shop is open Monday through Saturday, about 7:30 to 3 p.m. every day. I shut the door at 3, but typically I get here a little bit late. And we have coffee, tea, and hot chocolate for free every single day here in the store. We don't have a lot to sell, actually, because we've been so busy online. But just come in, get some free coffee. I'll talk to you, say hi, and all that stuff. And as we continue growing and as you guys continue supporting us, we will go. Last thing, Super Bowl tonight. We're gonna have lots of hors d'oeuvres at home, or as divorce, right? I may even drink a beer. I have no idea, or maybe I'll splurge and buy a soda because I'm not doing soda anymore. I don't know, but it's gonna be fun. I'm excited just to hang out with my family. My wife will likely fall asleep before the first quarter is done, or she'll, depending on when we eat, but. Should be fun. I'm excited to do it, and I hope all of you guys have a lot of fun. Again, guys, right now, let's see everybody do it. Everyone that's watching. We have 660 people across social media, not including Rumble. See how many we have on Rumble. Everyone go and join our coffee club. I mean, even if you do the $40 a month one, Join the coffee club. It allows us. So we have about 800 people watching across both platforms. If I get 10 of you today, it makes this show worth it. I can keep doing the news every single day. So please just join the coffee club. You get 3 bags of coffee delivered to your door every month, free, no charge whatsoever. Plus, we do giveaways every month. We gave away a TV on Friday, Charles B. If you're watching, reply to the email, please, and verify that you want it sent to your home. Otherwise, you have till Tuesday, and then I'm sending it to the address on your coffee order. But yeah, we do TV giveaways or whatever, it's sometimes TV, soundbars, whatever, on the 10th of every single month. So you just got to be a coffee club member, and then we'll go from there. Don't order the decaf because we're discontinuing it. We have decaf on there from a dropship coffee company. I don't know. I don't drink decaf. We only sell stuff I drink because this is my company and I do things differently than everybody else, which is why I believe it's successful. But Philadelphia is bracing for riots. I saw that as well. They were greasing all the lamp posts and stoplights and all that stuff today. So we'll see that. We don't make K-cups or coffee pods because they're gross and it takes away from the coffee. But what you could do is you could buy the disposable ones, and I may actually list those on our website. So you could buy disposable or reusable K-cups and then buy our coffee. I would say use 15 grams. Use 15 grams of coffee in it. Typical Green Mountain Coffee uses 9 or 10 grams. Use 15. It'll give you a strong cup of coffee that's good, and you can make up to the 15-ounce cups. We did make our own K-cups for a while, but we're just not doing it anymore. It's too cost prohibitive. What's the name of the store in Woodstock? Look at that. Assmud. Just bought a hoodie. Did you use your own discount? Assmud bought a hoodie from the store. That's funny. I appreciate that. That just cracks me up. Because remember, if you use our troll discount of the day, which is Assmud, you save 7%. So that's funny that he did it. But I appreciate all you guys, and I will see all of you tomorrow for an all-new episode of